Environmental problems with our waterways are a tragic part of the world we live in today. These issues come from many different sources and unfairly affect the people who live around them. Some ways environmental issues arise with our waterways is by pollution, pesticides, fertilizer, anything else that runs off into the watershed. A watershed can be defined as a land area that channels rainfall and snowmelt into creeks, streams, rivers, and eventually outflow to points like reservoirs, bays, and ultimately the ocean. Here we can see an example of watershed that collects in this creek. City street storm drains connect directly to our waterways. This is an area of Princeton, New Jersey, known as the Princeton Drainage Watershed. This water is clearly heavily polluted from the chemicals and pollution it's picked up on its journey to collect in this creek. Notice this bubbly, unknown foam billowing up at the end of this drainage pipe. This foam could be caused by anything that's mixed into the water, such as fertilizer, car soap, or who knows, it could be anything that runs into the storm drains. This stream flows directly into the Millstone River, which also has several EPA permitted discharges for industry, pharmaceutical companies, and even things associated with nuclear research. According to the EPA, most of these discharge sites are non-compliant with their regulations. This is unfortunately something that's rather common in the world. In many cases, polluted water is treated and used as drinking water that is delivered to civilization through a water system infrastructure. Older water infrastructure is often made up of lead and copper pipes. Lead was the choice material for water pipes due to its softness and durability, and was only banned in the United States in 1986. Until 2014, plumbing fixtures with as much as 8% lead by weight could legally be labeled as lead-free. If polluted water is not properly treated, it can cause metals from the pipes to leach into the water. The best known example of this happening is in the Flint, Michigan water crisis that dates back to 2016. Flint's water source was changed to the highly polluted Flint River, and the proper treatment protocols were not taken. Unsafe water containing over 5 times the acceptable level of lead was delivered to the Flint residents for over 18 months before they were notified. When lead is ingested, it has many adverse health effects, especially for young children. After all, lead is a heavy metal and a neurotoxin. 3 officials were charged with evidence tampering concerning the reporting of Flint's lead levels to the Environmental Protection Agency. To this day, the water in Flint is still a problem that hasn't been remedied, despite federal government promises and a visit from President Obama. The children who were exposed to such high lead levels have certainly been permanently affected and have likely suffered some level of neurological damage from the poisonous water that ran from their taps. Lead water infrastructure is a very common thing in old cities across the United States. In November 2020, the city of New Brunswick, New Jersey, sent out notices to all their residents that the water quality has not met standards and that lead and copper is likely leaching into the water. This is not an emergency. However, they advise not using water to drink or cook with, or to use the proper water filter that removes heavy metals. It's important to note not all water filters are created equal, and not all filters remove lead. Even some of the more expensive name brand water filters don't remove heavy metals from your water. So for your own safety, verify the specifications on the packaging. Now remember this from the beginning of the video? This again drains into the Millstone River, which flows almost 20 miles until it connects to the Raritan River. Located right where these 2 rivers converge is a water treatment facility. This is New Jersey's largest water treatment facility. It services 7 counties and 1.5 million people in the central New Jersey area. The facility sources water from the 2 rivers to treat and deliver to the surrounding areas. As if the runoff wasn't bad enough, all of the property surrounding the treatment facility is owned by a huge pharmaceutical company and is highly contaminated with many different chemicals. There's an active environmental cleanup and investigation going on to remedy the issue. The plan is to drill a series of wells at various depths, some of which will go down to the bedrock, which lies over 1,000 feet below the surface. Then engineers will pump out all of the groundwater, treat it, and pump it back into the ground. The natural water cycle that exists includes groundwater flowing into surface water, such as rivers. So that means if groundwater is contaminated, ultimately the surface water is contaminated as well. The water treatment facility also lies along a CSX railway yard that happens to be one of the companies with a permitted discharge into the river that is non-compliant to the EPA regulations. The water treatment process does not test for many chemicals and pharmaceuticals that are potentially in the water, which means if they are present, they slip right past treatment and into the water infrastructure to be delivered to the population. While the water treatment process does provide clean enough water that will not make you immediately sick, the chemicals that can slip past treatment cause long-term health effects like cancer from prolonged exposure. It's unfair that big companies and industry take advantage of our waterways and in one way or another poison the people who live in the surrounding communities. Things will have to change in the future to protect and maintain clean waterways because our water sources are the foundation of all life on Earth. Without them, life as we know it would cease to exist.